It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We are live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. And we're excited to have another edition of Celebrate What's Different, Conversations with Barber National Institute. It's our April episode on World Autism Month, and our topic today, Beyond Awareness, Building Inclusive Communities. And with us is Dr. Maureen Barber-Carey, the Executive Vice President of BNI. Good to see you, Dr. Barber-Carey. Appreciate it.
Great to be back.
I'm glad you're here. And we also have Dr. Jennifer Musloff. She's a behavior analyst, author of Effective Instruction for Children with Autism. Dr. Jennifer, great to see you. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
I remember our conversation from last year very well. Mm-hmm. And, we're talking about this World Autism Month. It was sanctioned by the UN, World Autism Day on April 2nd. This is the 18th annual World Autism Awareness Day. And throughout the month, we're sharing stories, providing opportunities so that people can understand the concept of autism and accept people with autism and generate some worldwide support. You know, folks have been putting limits in society on what people with autism can achieve. There's a lot of misconceptions and outdated perceptions, also systemic barriers, and they hold back individuals on the spectrum from reaching their full potential. And again, that's kind of the thing we talked about last year, right? So 1 in 36 children identified, 1 in 45 adults identified with autism spectrum disorder. And so we need to break these barriers, right? And we want to overcome these obstacles. So let's start, Dr. Maureen Barber-Carey. This introduction, tell us about why it matters that we celebrate this Autism Awareness Month here.
I think it matters because when we're talking numbers, as you just commented, 1 in 36 children have autism. So chances are your neighbor, a relative, a friend will have a child with autism. So as we begin to talk about autism, we have to understand what it is and what it is not. Certainly, it's a developmental disorder. It's impacted by the brain development, and that development then impacts our social skills, our communication skills, as well as our cognitive skills. One of the critical points you need to think about with autism is that it is a spectrum disorder. By that I mean that you can't say if you know one child with autism, you know all kids with autism. If you know one child with autism, you know one child with autism. That's the difference that we see in children on the spectrum, as well as adults on the spectrum. I want to definitely emphasize that. As a spectrum disorder, you will have children who are very, very high functioning. Many children who are gifted. I was reading a book on Bill Gates, and he's saying that thinks he has autism. Many of his behaviors that he had as a child would reflect a child with autism. Okay. So you have a Bill Gates with autism, and then you'll have children with moderate to severe autism who will have many more challenges, both in terms of their cognitive skills, their thinking skills, as well as their communication and their interaction with others. So that's one of the most important things I think all of us need to keep in mind, is it is a spectrum disorder. The second point I'd like to stress, because we're hearing so much about vaccines these days, that vaccines do not cause autism. This was a controversy that was answered back a number of years ago in a Danish study that involved thousands of children. And it specifically said autism is not caused by vaccines. In the late 80s, there was a very small study done by Dr. Adam Whitefield, which has been disputed. But that study of only 11 children said there may be a causal relationship between autism and vaccines. That is no longer, we know that was not a valid study, And we have now this Danish study done more than 10 years ago that tells us there is no causal between vaccines and autism.
Why do you think it keeps lingering out there? I mean, again, you just mentioned it was 10 years ago, right?
Well, I think it simply is because people want answers.
Okay.
They want to know what causes autism, and we really don't know what causes it.
Yeah.
There's a genetic component, and there's probably an environmental component as well. So if for those people who are desperate for an answer, it's easy to say it's vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just want to immediately stress that point because we're seeing so much about measles vaccines today, and we still see this burgeoning talk about autism and vaccines, and we need to just lay it to rest. Autism is not caused by vaccines.
Talk about what Barber National Institute does in supporting individuals with autism.
Well, to begin with, we look at each person as an individual. We look at the children, we look at adults. What are their strengths? What are their challenges? And what can we do, whether we're talking about education, employment, adult day programs? What are we perhaps we're talking about support to the families, whether it's a sibling support group, a family support group. What can we do to help that family with their child or their adult with autism? And the services that we have in the organization are really geared to helping that parent in any way that they need the help.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, now awareness is just the beginning. Inclusion is through understanding, support, and action. So let's talk about that, and we go to our author, Dr. Musloff. Tell us about this concept of myths and realities about autism. You know, some people just have these preconceived notions, like we were talking about at the intro here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and just to touch upon what Dr. Barber-Carey was saying, that it's important to stress that not all individuals with autism are the same. I think a lot of times when someone hears the word autism, they immediately picture a child maybe sitting in a corner of the room, rocking back and forth, maybe flapping their hands. You have that stereotypic image when you hear that word autism. And just to give an example of a situation I was just in the other day. I walked into one of my classrooms, and a little boy with autism looked up, called my name, and he ran over to me with his arms open wide and jumped in my arms.
Oh, wow.
And he has autism. So I think that concept of autism being a spectrum disorder is so very important, because a lot of people will kind of get that image in their head of what they think it might look like, when in actuality that's not the case.
Even as something simple as touch, people think,
Correct.
Don't touch someone with autism, and
Right.
you're saying no, they totally
Right.
appreciate it.
Every individual with autism has different needs and
Yeah.
has different strengths, and that is very important to remember.
Yeah, and so when we talk about the strengths and challenges, you know, of folks on the spectrum, is there a tool that you would use as a clinician of saying, okay, here's where this person can be their best self?
As far as tools and learning about the individual, you know, I always go to the people who know the student or the child best.
Okay.
Families.
Okay,
You know,
sure.
I'll talk to mom and dad. Tell me all about your child. Tell me the good stuff. Tell me your concerns. And I also like just to sit back and watch the child. What does he like to do? What does he go to? Who does he go to? How does he communicate? How does he interact with other people? And just watching, you know, without really jumping in, intervening too much. There's a lot you can learn by staying quiet and just watching. But by far, the families, teachers who have maybe had a student for, you know, some time, they know that child best. And you can gather so much information by just listening and watching.
Okay. You know, how do families and educators and employers, how can they be on the solution side of fostering inclusion here?
I think first and foremost, educate yourself. You know, the field of autism has come so far over the many decades, and you can never know too much. There's always new information out there, and I think especially educators working with children or individuals, adults with autism, need to research the literature, go to conferences, and read and educate yourself as much as you can. I think also at a more basic level, create environments. The community can create environments that support the needs of individuals with autism. I believe that, movie theaters will have sensory-friendly movies, available.
And
I
even
think
at
that
the
is
ballpark,
wonderful.
they'll do that too, right?
Right. We need more of that to support individuals with autism and their families. Also, advocate for those policies that support individuals with autism. Volunteer at local events. So there's a lot we can do in the community, educators, families, to help support those individuals.
All right, we're going to try to slide a parent here into the conversation here. Mr. Dimissie, he's a Elizabeth Lee Black School parent, and also you have resettled in Erie because of the Barber National Institute. Can you just share some of your experience of raising a child with autism, sir?
Thank you for inviting me for this interview. Actually, I'm so happy to share my life experience with autism. I have almost is now turning 17.
Okay.
It's too tough, having autistic child is very tough, but there's nothing we can do. That's God's gift what He gave us, so we have to handle that one. So there are so many up and down. Yeah, especially I just came from Kenya. My origin is from Ethiopia. As I just came to US as a immigrant, 2018. I chose Erie because of BNI.
Yeah.
Because that's the best place for autistic children. So their reputation, has reached across the ocean, right? Yes. So I have been knowing this place, Barber National Institute, when I was in Kenya.
Wow.
So I have a friend of mine, his name is Ed. He's the one, if you want to have to come to America, just come to Erie, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
So I decided, so I tell them the process center, so they say, it's okay. So here I am now. So I thanks to Barber National Institute, actually, I can see so many change on my child.
How in what ways, what kind of support did the Barber National Institute provide for your child?
Regarding his education, he gets the occupational therapy to focus, There are so many activities what they give him, actually. We have seen a lot of change on him. We appreciate that, actually. I can appreciate.
Yeah. Do you the sense of inclusion? Do you feel that from both the BNI, but also the greater community as your child grows and acclimates and actually starts becoming an adult, right?
Yeah, actually, when it comes to community, there are people they don't understand about autism.
Mm-hmm.
We have this kind of problem, Children autism, they are not their choice to be where they are. That's how they come. So everybody has to accept that, We have difficulty with community when you go with him,
Yeah.
He reacts so many things. Maybe he takes something, belongs to someone. So people, they don't understand, they can try to attack,
Mm-hmm.
So later on, when you tell them, so they can just calm down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, other issue. I'm happy here to share my experience. What I can say for the autism parents, they have to understand them.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot lead them; they lead us.
Yeah.
They lead us.
Yeah.
Because a normal child, you can lead him, then he can be what you want. But them, there's nothing you can do about it. So we have to accept that. I
appreciate you sharing your story. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
I'm interested, Dr. Maureen, about that whole understanding piece from the community. So whether that child is in your youth group at church, or general, being at school, being at an event, sporting, or a play or music. How can we as a community better do do acceptance, I guess?
I think acceptance happens one person at a time.
Yeah.
It's if you have a child with autism, you take him into the community. You go to the ball game. If he or she has a behavior problem, you just sort of say to the people sitting beside you, "It's okay. He's just a little upset right now. Don't worry about it. He's okay." And so it's not only being involved in the community there; it's employment. It's encouraging those employers in our community to reach out to the Barber Institute. We have a supported employment program. We will help you have a person with a disability, be it autism or intellectual disabilities. We'll help him get a job at your facility or your store, and we'll train him right there on the site, and then we'll stay with him until he has real success with that job. And then we can come back and retrain him if he needs it in the future. So whether we're talking recreation, employment, education, let's acknowledge that children are children first. You're not an autistic child or an autistic adult. You're a person, whether you're a child or adult, you're a person with autism. And let's accept, let's include, let's engage all people in our community, regardless of their skill set, regardless of their abilities or their disabilities.
It's amazing. Let's talk about services that you all provide at BNI, and just so that people understand, how much skin you have in the game. I mean, to have international renown, is pretty remarkable.
Well, it's remarkable because we have an outstanding staff. We are who we are because of our staff. And so I know as a dad, you work with the teachers, the speech therapists, the behavior specialists like Jen, and we work as a team. Parents are as integral part of our team as a behavior specialist or as a speech therapist. What we want to do is engage the whole community. And we do that in lots of different ways. We have events during the year that we encourage. We have the Beast on the Bay. Yeah. And the Beast on the Bay has an adaptive course. And so children with disabilities or adults with disabilities can participate in that. And they participate right beside that person who's running the 10 miles. So it's an inclusive event and it's an inclusive community. I think if we go back to 1952 when Dr. Barber started the Barber Center, that was her goal, to be able to allow every child and adult to be the best that they could possibly be in the Erie community. It wasn't sending them away to an institution. She believed that they should be in their homes with their families and get services in the community. That's what she started in 52. That's what we're still doing in, almost 75 years later.
That's amazing. So
we continue her work, her vision, her ideals.
Any final thoughts? What do you think?
Well, I would say that, Jen mentioned education. We've got lots of resources for families, whether it's our own staff, it's the manuals that Jen is writing. I do a blog on autism.
Nice.
So I've been doing it for about 10 years now. So we have lots and lots of resources. Get on our webpage, see what we are, see who we are, and how we can help you. Jen?
And I think also if you don't understand something, ask. There are many professionals out there in the community who have experience in working with individuals with autism. We have several wonderful families who would love to share their experiences. And so if you have questions, if you want to learn more, reach out and ask.
And reaching out is just giving us a call,
right.
453-7661. But also get on our webpage. Our webpage has so many resources in it. I would encourage anyone that wants to know more about autism, the Barber National Institute, or developmental disabilities to reach out to us.
We appreciate you taking the time. Dr. Maureen Barber-Carey, the Senior Vice President. Mr. Dimissie, again, a black school parent. And also, we appreciate Dr. Jennifer Musloff, the author of Effective Instruction for Children with Autism and a behavior analyst with BNI. Thank you so much for another wonderful Celebrate What's Different conversations with the Barber National Institute. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is 3:54.